I think it's just for that, just to get in front of people. There's not for a business like ours, it's difficult to get in front of the consumer. We can get in front of a retailer, we can get in front of a wholesale buyer, but there's really no way for us to get in front of a consumer in particular, because we supply to a large extent a commodity to a large amount of people, and none of them create enough value for us on an individual basis for us to afford the expenditure of advertising in, let's say, New York City. Mm-hmm. There's not enough consumed specifically even in New York City for us to advertise on a traditional scale, or to even try and promote things on a traditional scale. The only way that we're going to get the information to them is if they're already looking for it to a certain extent, and we have the information available for them to find it.
So as a side effect, important communicating with consumers is important so that they understand common sense farming and can make more educated decisions about their food choices, even if they're not buying your produce, but in general?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I think that way they understand that we're frustrated too as producers, that it's just not a consumer problem, it's a producer problem too, as far as supplying what people want, and for them to understand how feasible it is for us to do certain things. A great example would be the square watermelon fad that they had in Japan 4 or 5 years ago. It was a really cool thing to see, and it looked cool on the shelf, but how sustainable of a practice was it to have to put every watermelon before it grew up full size inside a box, and then break that box open and follow those steps. And with onions, it can be the same thing. We have some really beautiful packaging we can put out there, but is it necessary? Do you really need it? And if you understand the work behind what we're doing, our efforts, and you realize, well, all I want is a good onion to eat, or a good piece of fruit if you're buying fruit or whatever the case might be. It doesn't need to be in all that fancy packaging. What you ultimately want is the taste and the quality. Mm-hmm. And they can see what we're doing, and hopefully we can see how they're using the product, and we can marry those two separate items and come up with something better.